Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining today. I'm excited to introduce kConnect, which is like a powerful Kubernetes Connect Manager tool for the CLI, and that simplifies cluster authentication and access managing across multiple environments. So, as you all know, Kubernetes is a powerful orchestration tool, but accessing like clusters securely across multiple cloud providers, right, especially like EKS, AKS, or RKS, would be like I think it would take like a lot of time like connecting to each cluster because you have to switch context and also you have to get your context, the config file and upload and connect to the cluster accordingly. So kConnect, which is like an open source, is like designed to remove those barriers, making cluster discovery and authentication like seamless. And throughout the session, I will walk you through kConnect's core functionalities, supported like programs, authentication methods, and how it can streamline Kubernetes operations like for the DevOps teams or the SRE teams or the platform teams. So by the end of the presentation, you will have a clear understanding of how kConnect enhance like productivity and also securely connecting to the multi-cloud Kubernetes environments. So let's dive in. So let me get started. So let me go back and go to the next slide. Okay, so I think just to get introduced, right, I think managing Kubernetes clusters across multiple platforms can be challenging, especially when dealing with different authentication mechanisms and configurations. So kConnect is to build to solve the problem by providing the unified CLI tool that enables users to discover and securely access Kubernetes clusters with ease. Instead of manually like setting up the authentication and the kubectl files for each platform or each cloud provider, kConnect automates this process, saving the time and also reducing the complexity. So the key advantage of kConnect is the ability to automate the clusters. It uses like a access based authentication method, like whether you're working with AWS or EKS, Azure or AKS or the Rancher, which is the RKS platform. kConnect simplifies the process by dynamically generating kubectl files, ensuring seamless connectivity. So this is particularly useful for all the DevOps platform and the cloud engineers managing multiple environments as it enhances efficiency and securely across different cloud providers. So the kConnect, just to give like a glimpse, like the idea behind the kConnect, I think we have like almost approximately 1,000 clusters in our environments with EKS and AKS and RKS, and connecting to the clusters for the SRE teams or the cloud engineer or the platform engineers or the DevOps engineers is becoming so hard because they have to switch the context, the kube files, and they have to get for each cloud provider. And I think this is kConnect is like an open source tool where you can actually try out yourself, and which is like a powerful CLI and also open source, which anybody can use if you have the right setup in your environments. So deep diving into the authentication methods, right? One of the kConnect core strength is the ability to integrate with multiple Kubernetes platforms. It supports like EKS, and also it supports like AKS, RKS, and Rancher, and which are like some of the most widely used managed Kubernetes services in the enterprise environments. And also there are like a lot of authentication methods, right? Securing is like a fundamental concern when accessing Kubernetes clusters, right? And also kConnect offers multiple authentication methods to align with your organization's security policies. So these methods include like you can go with the SAML, Azure Active Directory, AWS IAM, and also Rancher token based authentication, ensuring that users can securely access their Kubernetes environments without manually configuring the complex authentication workflows. For example, kConnect integrates with SAML based identity providers through SAML to AWS, allowing enterprise to leverage SSO mechanism for the enhanced security. It also supports like AD authentication, which follows like a Microsoft authentication library, like for the Go, to enable like seamless login to multiple environments or multiple clusters. Similarly, like for AWS IAM, kConnect uses the users like AWS credentials to authenticate against EKS cluster, or it can also follow the role-based authentication model. So that the authentication options make like a kConnect flexible and also a powerful tool for enterprise handling multi-cloud Kubernetes clusters. And let's go to the next slide on the key features. So there are like a lot of key features with the kConnect, right? And kConnect is designed like with the key features that makes Kubernetes access efficient and secure. So the first major feature is multi-method authentication, which allows users to authenticate using SAML, like I said, like AWS IAM, Azure AD, or Rancher token based on the organization security policies. So this ensures like no matter which platform or the identity provider you use, kConnect can integrate seamlessly. So another crucial feature is automated cluster discovery, which helps users find available clusters across the different environments. Instead of manually searching for the clusters and configuring the kube files, kConnect automatically discovers them based upon your authentication credentials. Additionally, it also supports kubeconfig generation, making it easy to establish to secure connections to Kubernetes clusters in just a few steps. And this is what, for us, we use kConnect for every cluster authentication, not just from CLI, not just for the troubleshooting purposes, or not just for authenticating and checking the cluster health or checking the deployments, replica side or pods. We also use kConnect extensively to authenticate from like various platforms like Jenkins or SonarQube or whatever. So by doing this, I think we can actually connect to the clusters as a role-based authentication, which is a secure way for authenticating the clusters. And most of the times we use kConnect for also for the application deployments. Let's say you have a cluster and you want to deploy like 100 applications, and we have defined KPIs where we actually call that KPI and it deploys our application or the deployment based upon our requirements. But I think behind the scene, it also uses the kConnect for switching the context, because we have 1,000 clusters and we have both on-prem and also cloud. So which makes our life easier when using kConnect. And also finally, kConnect connection history, like which when you connect to a cluster, regardless of EKS, AKS, and RKS, you can actually, the kubeconfig file saves the history. That makes you unique whenever, because each cluster you can create like a alias where you can connect to the cluster. You don't have to remember the whole cluster name. Let's say I'll take an example. Say you have a cluster name called application cluster, and you can, whenever you're trying to create the cluster, you can name that alias as application cluster. And when you connect to the cluster, you can actually tell kConnect to the application cluster. It connects itself. So I'm going to deep dive into a little bit when I do the actual demo. I think I have something that I have to show, like how to connect to the cluster and the history and everything. And to go back, I think also what are like some of the advanced capabilities, right? So beyond like its core features, kConnect offers advanced capabilities that improve usability and also like enterprise adoption. One such feature that I can think of is the history management, like I was just saying, which allows users to regenerate the config files and the kubeconfig files from previously connected clusters using an ID or alias, like I was just saying. This means that if you frequently switch between the cluster, you don't have to go through the full authentication method and discover the process every time. You can connect to the cluster based upon the alias, like with a simple command kConnect to your alias. And also, additionally, kConnect supports company or organization-wide configuration defaults, enabling each organization to establish the standardization authentication settings for all the users. This is particularly helpful for teams managing Kubernetes at scale for any organization who have clusters beyond 200 clusters. And another powerful capability is cross-platform support, ensuring that kConnect runs seamlessly on various operating systems. Whether you are on Linux, Mac OS, or Windows, you can rely on the kConnect for consistent Kubernetes access. And also, to get started, I think I can walk through the kConnect. It is a straightforward, to be honest. First, like we need to install the kConnect via the packet manager, or we can download directly from the project's GitHub. And also you can install the process which is like very well documented. Once it's installed, you can configure kConnect with your preferred authentication method. After that, I think kConnect automatically discovers the available clusters in your environments. And finally, connecting the cluster is like as simple as running a single command, which generates the required kubeconfig file and set up your environments for immediate use. And I think we have extensive documentation. And to get started, like we have comprehensive documentation, which is like essential for any CLI tool. And kConnect provides the detailed guides and also tutorials and references at fidelity.github.io/kconnect. And users can find everything from installation steps and also advanced configuration options and troubleshooting guides. And additionally, kConnect maintains like a folder called docs directory, and which is in every project repository containing like a in-depth technical details for the contributors and all the users who want to use or understand the internal working mechanism of the tool. And the project structure is also same. Like you have like a regular any command line project. You have a structure ensure that maintainability and scalability. The core functions like resides in the command cmd/kconnect directory, which is like a reusable models and housed in package directory pkg. And what next? Contributing. Yeah. So you can, so like I was mentioning, kConnect is like an open source tool and you can contribute to the tool and it is an open source. You can check the recommended guidelines in the contributions.md file, which outlines like the standards, the coding standards, the testing requirements, and also the best practices. And lastly, I think anybody can contribute, and the steps is you can fork the repository, you can introduce or develop the changes, you can submit the PR, and it's like same review process for any open source project. And also there are like a couple of acknowledgements that I want to call out too. Is we use SAML to AWS a project, which is like an identity provider functionality, which relies heavily on that project, which was developed by Versant. This integrates enable secure SAML-based authentication for accessing Kubernetes cluster. And also you can also use Microsoft Authentication Library, which also is like kConnect draws like used heavily with the library called Go. So the project directly uses a lot of packages located in pkg/Azure and WS Trust. And we have used Rancher as well. And I think every project that we have used, we have put out clear guidelines and also like everything is in the README file, or like what open source projects that we have used when we are developing the kConnect. And also, I think which we all know, I think this is an open source project, and kConnect is actually owned by Fidelity, and we are open to a lot of contributions as well. And I think with that said, I would like to wrap up our session, but also I wanted to show a quick demo as well. Give me 1 second. Let me bring on my command prompt. Okay, so yeah, if you see here, let me run the command. Yeah, let me clear the screen. Okay, so the first step is we have to import the shared config, which is like an optional. The first command is like kConnect configure, where you have a directory and you have a config.yaml. You're basically going to apply that configuration. So after that, what you're going to do is, let me apply that. Yeah. After that, if you look at here, we use kConnect. We want for the demo, I think we can connect to the EKS, and similarly, we can connect to RKS and also to AKS, which is a similar process. But I think the authentication methods may change, but it is like a very similar process than other cloud service providers. So all we have to do is we use like kConnect use EKS and the protocol as SAML, and basically it's gonna give options whether which identity provider that we want to use, whether we want to use Akamai or Azure AD, ADFS, or Google Apps or Ping. And I'm using Google Apps, and I paste the IDP for the endpoint for that provider. And okay, that's it. I think it's going to sign in, and I'm gonna click yes. And yeah, if you see here, it is showing like 2 different accounts with the administrator access. And basically I want to connect to different clusters or different accounts. So let me connect to one cluster. Okay, so when I connect it to the cluster, it's actually authenticated via AWS. And also it is asking to set alias or not. And I'm going to set alias to yes. Yeah, I'm going to set as dev. And I'm going to connect to the cluster, dev cluster. Okay, that's it. It is connected to the cluster. And now let me run some pods. I have some pods running here. Okay, get pods. Okay, it is, yeah, it's been a while, 27 hours. Okay. And okay, and also we can, like I was mentioning in the demo, we can actually see the connection. I think kConnect LF gives all the commands and also the history that whatever connected we connected to. And you can connect to, yes, if I was mentioning we can connect to a cluster, we don't have to enter the full cluster name. We can just select the alias and we can run that command. And it's going to reconnect using alias and it's going to ask for the password. Your password, and that's it. Boom. It has actually connected to the, let me click yes. Yep, it's connected to the cluster now. All right. I think that's all that I have for today. And this wraps up the session. And also, thank you for your time. And if you have any questions or want to get involved, feel free to reach out on GitHub or check out the documentation. Let's continue simplifying Kubernetes access and also securing connection together. And that's it. And thank you for everyone for attending the session.